In this video, I'll show you how to use Curves tool in DaVinci Resolve for primary color corrections. By the end of this tutorial, you'll know how to read video scopes and use custom curve graphs to fix basic color issues and achieve a consistent look in your footage. Let's get started. Before we dive in, if your color page interface looks different from mine, you can reset it to the default menu. Go to Workspace. Reset UI layout. Everything will return to the default setup. Now, let's take a quick tour of the color page. Timeline. This is where you can select clips to work on. After resetting the UI layout, you should see your timeline clips at the bottom. If not, click the Timeline View button in the top right corner or Clips button in the top left corner. Viewer. This is located in the center. This displays your clip as you make adjustments. On the right-hand side, we have Node Editor. DaVinci Resolve uses a node-based workflow, allowing you to process your image step by step. You can also add, rearrange, or delete nodes as needed. Next, go to the bottom right corner and click this button to see the parade scope, which breaks down the red, green, and blue channels, helping us identify imbalances or color casts. On the bottom left, we have the primary color wheels, which are commonly used for adjusting brightness, contrast, and color balance. And finally, right in the bottom middle, we have the curves panel, which is what we'll be focusing on today. Here, I have a project loaded up using media from Blackmagic's website, specifically from DaVinci Resolve's training page. So here's how curves work. The horizontal axis represents the image's tonal values, ranging from shadows on the left to highlights on the right. The vertical axis represents the output values, determining how bright or dark each tonal range will be after adjustment. I'll use the third clip to demonstrate. The approach is pretty simple. First, we'll correct the black point, then adjust the white point. Finally, we'll refine the colors. So, if we look at the parade scope, we can use the numbers on the left as a reference. You may already know this, but just in case you don't, the graph reads from bottom to top. 0 at the bottom represents absolute black, and 1023, 1023 at the top represents pure white. So any value below 0 or above 1023 will be clipped, meaning no detail will be retained. For this clip, let's adjust the black point by dragging the lower left corner of the curve to the right. We want to bring it just above 0, but below 128 to ensure we are not crashing any details. Next, let's adjust the white point by grab the upper right corner and pull it to the left until the whole image appears brighter, with the top of the trace just reaching the 896 line. Now you'll notice that the image has more contrast than before. To compare, click this button here to toggle between the before and after view, or use the shortcut Command D. For a more dynamic look, we can create a classic S-curve to enhance contrast further, which means darkening shadows and brightening highlights. Let's add 2 points to the curve line, one in the lower shadow area and another in the upper highlights. First, drag the lower control point downwards to darken shadows without crushing them. Next, drag the highlight point upwards to brighten highlights while keeping details in the foreground. Now that we've balanced contrast, let's move on to correcting color balance. Instead of adjusting all colors at once, we'll work on individual channels, red, green, and blue. This clip is fairly balanced, so I'll switch to fifth clip to demonstrate. Before we do anything else, let's adjust the black and white points first. Now the image looks a bit warm to me, and if we check the parade scope, we can tell that there is too much red in the highlights. To fix this, we can first select the blue curve and adjust the white point by pulling it to the left to increase blue in the highlights. to balancing out the red. And then we'll do the same with green curve, adjusting until 3 channels align and the highlights look neutral. Next, let's correct the shadows. Right now, there's too much blue in the shadows. We can reduce it by selecting the blue curve, grabbing the black point, and lifting it slightly so it doesn't touch 0. Then we'll add a little red to balance the shadows by selecting the red curve and nudging the black point to the right. So after all of this, if the black and white points have shifted, we can adjust them again. That's what I'm gonna do here. But if they remain the same, move on to the final step, fine-tuning the midtones. To correct midtone color cast, we also use control points to tweak the colors in the midtones. For this image, we can say that there's still too much red in the midtones. So let's add 2 control points, one in the upper midtone and one in the lower shadows. And let's slightly pull the midtone section downwards to reduce the red cast. Now we have a well-balanced image. Again, click this button here to toggle between the before and after view, or just use the shortcut Command D. Using curves takes a bit of practice, but it's one of the most powerful tools for making precise and nuanced adjustments to your image. Practice is key, so have fun experimenting.